could have had my computer or this. As most of you already know, my dad was diagnosed in late of June of 2014 with a relatively rare cancer called multiple myeloma. I still remember getting the call from my brother. I was shopping at the Grove for work when the phone rang. Justin said, "I want to talk to you about a little issue that Dad has." It was so out of context and I was so distracted by work that I wasn't sure what I had heard, so I said, "Huh?" Justin calmly went on to say, "Dad was diagnosed with something called multiple myeloma. It's a type of blood cancer that is very treatable, so don't worry, Dad will be fine." Of course I missed the "Dad will be fine" part and focused solely on that terrible word, cancer. "What do you mean Dad has cancer?" The conversation went on and I was promised not to worry, that Dad would never die from this disease. In fact, he wouldn't even need treatment at this time. They would monitor him and make sure he remained in good health, and if and when the time came, he would be treated appropriately. As the weeks went on, the feeling of confusion started to become all too familiar. Dad got a great diagnosis, and even well-known Dana-Farber Cancer Institute said, "Don't worry, something will get him long before this multiple myeloma ever will." Little did we know that something else was brewing. An evil protein called amyloidosis was quickly and without warning taking over Dad's body. Dad eventually had to begin treatment, which seemed to be working in terms of numbers and statistics, but was getting more and more sick and losing more and more weight, eventually landing him at the University of Miami Hospital. What was going on here? He's supposed to be getting better, not worse. While at the University of Miami, we were introduced to numerous doctors, nurses, and technicians, as well as a disease that I could barely spell, let alone pronounce, amyloidosis. There were so many people and so much new information who could keep track. However, there was one person who made a lasting impression, and that person is here today, Dr. James Hoffman. Dr. Hoffman went out of his way to do whatever he could to ease our minds, even though we knew the situation was no longer as simple as we had initially thought. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. Dad came home for 2 days, which was celebrated with balloons, a Publix birthday cake, and 2 very excited Jack Russell Terriers who made themselves comfortable in Dad's bed. Those 2 days were unfortunately cut short by Dad's trip back to a local Delray hospital where he would stay. At this point, it was determined that the amyloid in Dad's body, something we had only just learned about days before, had done its damage, and there was little to nothing anyone could do. Doctors were perplexed, ICU nurses were confused. How could this have happened so quickly, and why is there nothing that we can do to fix this? I can go into details about those last weeks, but I won't. What's important to know is that I got to spend every single day with my dad, making him laugh, kissing his forehead, pinching his toes, and most importantly, telling him how much I loved him. Losing him is something that will never ever be okay, but honoring him while simultaneously helping others who are fighting the same battle he so courageously fought is something that is more than okay. Starting this foundation was definitely a process. It was something we knew we wanted to do immediately, but couldn't have done without the help and support of Dr. Hoffman and the Sylvester team. We are so excited to be partnering with them to help promote awareness and fund research that will hopefully lead to a cure. Many doctors and nurses don't know enough about it to correctly diagnose and treat at a time that is crucial to saving a patient's life. In addition, because it is considered a rare disease, the government will not provide funding for research, so doctors and hospitals rely on private organizations like Erase Amy to help facilitate the process. That being said, I want to personally thank all of you so much for being here. It was extremely important for us that our first event include the people who knew and loved my dad the most. We are so, so grateful that you have chosen to join us in the fight to erase Amy. Thank you so, so much.